Guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have quite possibly the most anticipated Mattel Jurassic World figure ever, as we have the Hammond Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex. And I know this is definitely one of my most anticipated figures, there's no doubt about that. I've been waiting for Mattel to make the definitive Rexy figure for a very long time, and judging by the images I've seen of it so far and what I can see through the window area of this box, it looks to be exactly that. Definitely the definitive version of a Jurassic Park style Tyrannosaurus. As far as the box art goes, you can see we've got the nice Hammond Collection logo in the bottom left hand corner. Really nice image there of the Rex skeleton up there on the top left hand, as well as the Tyrannosaurus Rex species title, and a window area of the Rex. They're kind of creeping through, and then if we turn it here to the side, you've got a Hammond Collection logo on the side. If we actually turn it a little further, you can of course see an image of the Rex figure here on the side, and then on the back you basically again have another image of the T-Rex figure, as well as an image here of the ending of Jurassic Park with the Rex, and of course the When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth banner, as well as some information on the Rex down there. So we have all been waiting a very long time to get a nice look at this figure, so let's pop it out of the box right now. So here is our T-Rex, and we'll go ahead and put it back a little bit further to kind of get a nice better view of it. And there we go, we've got our Rex standing here before us, and it is absolutely a looker. There is no doubt about that. I really love what I can see here on the figure. The sculpt is phenomenal. The paint job also looks really quite nicely done. One thing that I thought I was going to love that I actually don't love is the glass eye. There's like a glass eye for this Rex, which, you know, in theory sounds like a tremendous idea, and I thought it would be really awesome to have that on some of these Hammond Collection figures, but from back here it almost looks like the Rex is possessed. Like, you can't really see like a pupil or anything, and you know, there's quite a few angles that you really can't see a pupil from, but overall, it definitely looks really nice. It is unquestionably the best paint job we've had on any Mattel Rex for sure. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at this right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Rex, you can see some beautiful skin texture, beautiful scale detail through the entire head of the T-Rex, pretty much like your standard Mattel T-Rex head sculpt. Kind of has the same look to it, but that means that it's again really nicely done, pretty screen accurate overall, which is definitely a huge plus. But this has way better paint application than you see on your standard Mattel T-Rex figure. You can see that we have plenty of different variations of browns applied to the face of our Rex. Even right here, like on the lower jaw, you can see like a nice dark shade of brown, but then you have kind of like a light tan that transitions to a darker tan. So right there on the lower jaw, we have three different tones of color, which is definitely really nice to see. And you can continue to see that up here on the top as well. You've got a nice dark brown here running along the jawline. You have a lighter kind of a light tan right there. You've got a little bit of a darker brown right there. You've got a dark brown, actually two different shades of darker brown in the palette. Different shades of darker browns up here. Even looking right here at the top of the head, you can see some really nice airbrushing has been applied right there. Again, giving it a few different variations of browns up there on the head. So a lot of paintwork included on this Rex, and as well beautiful scale detail throughout. You can again see what I was talking about with that, you know, glass eye type of a look. It really could have been a very good idea, but it's hard to actually find the pupil. Like there we can see the pupil, but sometimes, like, if we were to turn this facing us, we probably couldn't see the pupil anymore now. See, it's not like your normal glass eye. Normal glass eyes are really good at kind of following you, so you see the pupil everywhere, and you can kind of see that it does that, but it also kind of disappears from certain angles, like we can now no longer see the pupil really at all. So not a huge fan of the glass eye look like I thought I would be, or at least that eye specifically that they've chosen to use. I feel like they could have probably chosen a better eye. We also have a nice darker brown there around the eye, kind of like a very dark burnt umber brown, which is nice to see. Again, you usually see like a darkening of the coloration there around the eye. There's also like some spots that they've applied, like some black spots through many different areas here of the face. And you can also see that we've kind of dry brushed like a tan over the top here, those kind of scoots that run over the top of the head of the Rex. So yet again, more color variation, just tons of it here on this Rex. We do have an articulated jaw. However, you can see that it's kind of jerky. Like, it's not really smooth. It's not like you had on the Extreme Chompin' Rex that had a nicely articulated jaw. It just kind of opens to different distances, and you can see that the upper and lower jaw move at the same time, so you can't open only the lower jaw. I would have definitely preferred more of a realistic kind of articulation for the jaw, not so jerky, but I mean, it is what it is. We also have some really nice detail here for the skin on the inside of the mouth. Look at how beautiful that is. It's also a rubbery feel, so it's kind of like that real feel. And we have some nice variations of color included in there. And you also have a really nice tongue sculpt. You can see the tongue sculpt right there, beautifully textured, very nice realistic tone of color used. And we can definitely see that the tongue as well has articulation, so you can articulate the tongue up. There we go. Or you can put it back down. Doesn't really work all that well. Like, it can't get it up super high. See, it just kind of falls back down. But it's definitely a nice looking tongue, and there appears to be a nice gloss coat. You can even see some nice detail as well as nice coloration there for the underside of the inside of the mouth on the lower jaw. Really nice looking. And again, that gloss coat really adds a nice element of realism in there. Even some color variation there on the inside of the mouth on the upper side. And you can also see that the teeth are very nicely sculpted out and painted with kind of like a variation of a yellow, like a light yellow. So really nice looking inside of the mouth. They really went all out with this Rex. I can tell that completely. When it comes to Mattel, it's not often you get a figure as beautiful as this. As you start to move back here into the neck region, you can see again tons of really nice scale detail, as well as tons of kind of skin wrinkles, skin creases throughout. More really nice coloration. There's quite a bit of varying browns, and there's also kind of like a splotchy black that's been applied, adding a nice amount of color variation to the figure. And we also pick those nice stripes up that run along the back. The lighter brown, of course, appears in between those stripes running down the back of the Rex. You can also see some beautiful detail here on the underside and the throat, lots of skin creasing and everything going on. Really nice scale detail here for the underside of the lower jaw, and a really smooth transition as we transition down to that coloration. The head is primarily a nice plastic, but this is actually kind of like a rubbery feel right here. I noticed that just a moment ago when I touched it, so we kind of have almost like a real feel right here as well. And you can actually see a slightly different appearance to the coloration from the hard plastic to this area. It's like a slightly darker brown, it almost looks like here, compared to here, a little bit of a lighter brown. Again, we almost have, actually it looks like we have like a dark wash applied to the figure, because I can kind of see like darker areas of color kind of creeping in and out of the scales, which really highlight the scales and make this look a lot more lifelike. I think that really amps up the realism of the figure and definitely increases the appeal factor of the Rex quite dramatically. You can see some more skin wrinkles down here in the lower part of the throat. As we lead back here into the body, you've got a ton of skin wrinkles right here where the body meets the arm, so that looks really nice. You can also see that we have again more of those stripes running down the course of the back. They're very nicely applied, very naturally applied. You can see lots of skin detail, like tons of it here in the stomach region, all sorts of creasing and everything, and cracks and crevices through the entire stomach region of our Rex, as well as some really nice looking lighter tones of brown that transition beautifully to that light coloration of the underbelly. As we lead down here into the arm, you can see some nice skin wrinkles there at the joint of the arm before leading down into the arm. The arm has some nice muscle definition, and again lots more skin wrinkles increasing and everything there. As you move down toward the hands, you can see the hands are very nicely sculpted. We've got some beautiful fingers, kind of like some more of that really nice skin detail there, like creasing type of a look running down the fingers. Nicely painted nails, which is amazing to see a Mattel Tyrannosaur with painted nails on the hands. You've got nails painted with a nice glossy black, so they shine fairly realistically. One thing I will say that I'm not a huge fan of is the fact that we can't articulate the arms down, because the arms are kind of held out, almost in a similar fashion to the old Kenner Red Rex, where you had the arms kind of coming out of the body. It doesn't seem like mine really goes down too well. So that is a little bit of a downside, because I would have liked to have had the arms in a little bit more into the body, but it is what it is. That's just a very minor gripe. Again, more fantastic skin detail here in the stomach region. If we pull the legs back, they're a little stiff, but there we go. You can see again some nice skin wrinkles and stuff here in the stomach region leading back. More beautiful skin texture throughout. Again, you can definitely make out like a dark wash that's been applied to the figure, really highlighting all of those skin wrinkles, skin creases. You've got the hip bone right there. You can also see again more of the beautiful striping running down the back of the Rex. It's really honestly nicely applied, like super nicely applied, impressively nicely applied there to the back of the Rex. And then as you lead down here into the thigh, you can see some exceptional muscle definition here. You can also see more really nice coloration to the Rex. We've got that nice darker coloration here along the front of the thigh. Nice variation of brown. You've got the lighter tone of color here for the back. You also have like some splotches of blacks showing up here and there. So a lot of really nice color variation. And you can also kind of make out that sort of dark wash again to the course of the figure. And that's one thing I've been saying that Mattel absolutely needed to do to their figures from the beginning of the Hammond collection line, was apply some washes to them like this to add an element of realism, making them more so like almost like a NECA quality figure rather than just being like a slightly more articulated casual Mattel figure with a little more coloration to it. It just amps up the realism a lot, I think, for the figures. As you lead down the leg, you've got the kneecap right there in the front. More really nice big bulging musculature here in the calf region of our Rex. As you lead down into the foot, you've got a pretty nice looking foot sculpt. Definitely oversized, there's no doubt about that, but it still looks pretty good. You've got some nice scoots running down the foot, down into the toes, and you've again got the really nicely painted nails with that glossy black. Beautiful coloration as well, as you have that darker tone of color that runs down the entire front of the leg, down through the shin and into the front of the feet and down into the toes. But then you also have again that lighter tone of brown as well. And then as you lead back up here, you can again see more phenomenal looking skin detail. And there specifically, like, you can really see how that dark wash has crawled into the skin creases and everything and really highlighted that skin detail in a very realistic way. And then as we move out here toward the tail a little further, you start to see again some more of those like speckles and stuff showing up that they've applied to the figure, as well as the dark wash and the really nice variations of browns. Actually a ton of speckles on the other side. Wow, there is just a mountain of them. Not so many over here, and they're actually kind of bigger over here. Once we go over to the other side, you can see there's a mountain of them there though, and you can see again the stripes as you lead down the course of the tail. Almost looks like we have different variations of brown. Darker up here, slightly lighter right there. I don't know if that's just from the airbrush leaving the area or what, but it definitely looks to be a slightly different shade. And then as we continue to move out the length of the tail, you again have striping that runs the entire way out of the tail, all the way out to the tip. Almost, we just have a little area out here that doesn't have it, but that honestly looks amazing. The sculpt, the detail is fantastic. We of course have the bendable rubber wire out here, so it sort of has like that real feel type of a feel to it as far as the material. And again, all of the sculpting and detailing is incredible on this Rex. You can see the underside has some fantastic skin texture. I really think the dark wash would have looked nice down here as well, but unfortunately it seems as though we don't have it on the underside. You can see as we continue to move along here, there is no dark wash at all here on the underside. You can see the undersides of the feet though look really good as far as the detailing goes. And then leading up here, I was really wondering if they were going to capture this or not. And it's honestly hard to tell, really, if they did. But JP Rexes have a very specific trademark, larger scaling here to the underside. And it almost looks like they sort of did capture it here. Though it's not as vibrant as it probably should be. But it definitely looks like they sort of did capture it. A little bit more so than they have in the past when it comes to their Tyrannosaurus. So that is a plus. You can also see a little bit of bulging to the stomach, so it looks pretty well fed and healthy. And I'm actually noticing that it looks like we do have a joint to potentially bring the arms into the body a little bit more, but mine is really stiff. It's not allowing me to right now, so maybe when the review is over I'll have to warm it up, see if I can get it to pull that sort of motion off. And one thing I've noticed a lot of people complaining about is it seems like that the joint in the midsection of their Rex is a little loose. Mine definitely seems kind of loose. It's not super loose, makes a very annoying squeaky noise though. But you can again see that this side looks really good. Again, very consistent as far as the coloration goes compared to what we had just seen on the initial side as we move through. You're not really going to see too much difference over here, I would imagine, compared to what we just saw on the first side of the figure when it comes to the sculpt or coloration or anything, except for there is just a ton of those speckles over here. You can see it here in the stomach region, but specifically, like right here, it looks like they were really focusing on that speckling. There is just a ton of them for some reason over here on this side in that spot. But the sculpt honestly looks amazing on every side, every angle. The paint job as well is phenomenal for a Mattel figure. there is no doubt in my mind that even with the kind of wonky eyes that we have, this is the best version of a Mattel Tyrannosaurus ever, and will probably be the best version of a Mattel Tyrannosaurus ever as well. Now, as far as articulation goes on our Rex, which when it comes to a Hammond collection figure is always one of the more important aspects, you can see that we have articulation, of course, in the jaw. We already had shown that off earlier. The upper and lower jaw articulate together, but you have a joint here and a joint here for the neck to move. So you've got two different areas right here. I actually try to contain the body from going, but you can see that we can get a really nice left and right turn, really smooth and realistic turn in the Rex, as well as up and down. Again, really smooth as far as that goes. It can also swivel, so you can kind of turn the head in almost like a curious type of a positioning. And then you have an area right here, so you can kind of articulate this. This is the area that seems to be pretty loose. You can see it like kind of falls down very, very easily. It doesn't seem to be a problem quite yet, but I feel like if I move it around a lot, it might wear it out, and then I'll have to apply something to kind of tighten that area up. We do have an area again right here in the arms. You can see the area right here to articulate it, so we can swivel it first of all, which the body's moving with it. But right there looks like there would be a joint to sort of articulate it. Yeah, so you can see it's definitely moving a little bit. So now we have the arms, I feel like, in a little bit of a more natural position into the body, kind of. Definitely looks a little better, maybe. It's hard to really tell, but we also have elbow articulation as well as wrist articulation, which as I try to move the wrist, the elbow's going with it, but there you go. You can kind of see how the arm articulates in a few different areas. And then we also have hip articulation, forward and back, out away from the body as well. So really nice there. You have knee articulation. Oh boy, that was scary. Very, very stiff. It's not the wisest idea to go about it just like this, like forcing it. I'm kind of an idiot for doing it this way. Could probably break it, but you can see again, really smooth actually as far as that knee goes. And then you also have articulation down here as well. And in the lower part of the leg here in the ankle. You can see we've got some really nice, this can actually swivel entirely, so you can get that really nice sort of like a running position for your Rex, and lean the leg back, really bend it and articulate it pretty much any way you would like. Super, super nice articulation in the legs. Something I've been wanting on a Mattel Rex for a very long time. And then you have articulation here in the tail, which can go left, right, up, down, swivel, all sorts of mobility there. You also have, again, another swivel and another area of that same style of articulation right here. And then you have the bendable wire tail, so you can sort of bend the tail and articulate it any way you would like. I only slightly bent it, but I'm certain it would go a lot more if I tried. But definitely a lot, well, now it's on its face, but definitely a lot of really, really nice articulation for our Rex, and it actually stands pretty nicely so far. I haven't tried too many different positions. Again, I just broke it out of the box right now, but it actually seems to have some really nice stability as far as the Rex goes. He's in a very awkward position right now. It doesn't look natural at all, but you can see again that the legs are standing nicely. Of course, it has a lot to do with the absolutely massive feet on the figure, as per usual when it comes to a Mattel Rex. We always end up with those larger feet. But let's go ahead. There we go. See, now we got a cool kind of like leaning down position, like it's looking in the side of the Explorer or something. And it is still standing really quite nicely. But let's go ahead, position it back up, try to get a nice measurement on our Rex. So we have it standing tall, kind of, and then we'll get a length first. But for a length, you were looking at about 24 and a little over 24.5 inches. Closing in on 24 3/4 inches, or around 62.5, yeah, about 62.5 centimeters. So really quite sizable. And then for a height to the top of the head, you're looking at about 8 inches or 20 centimeters. The back of the neck, closing in on about 8 1/4 inches, or around 21 centimeters. So really nicely sized. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Hammond Collection T-Rex, and you can definitely see that this Rex sports a very good size. Initially, when I had seen a few images of it, I thought it was kind of in like the extreme damage size range, but I can definitely say it is quite a bit larger than that. And to show you that, there is the Extreme Damage T-Rex next to our Hammond Collection version, and you can definitely see that the Extreme Damage version is a lot shorter. And if we actually pick the camera up here and kind of go up above, you can definitely see again a pretty huge size difference between the two. But for another comparison, here is the recently released Thrash and Devour T-Rex next to our Hammond Collection version. And although the Thrash and Devour version definitely has a much larger head and neck for obvious reasons to eat, the smaller dinosaurs and stuff, you can see that the Hammond Collection version is definitely bigger. It's certainly longer and is a bit taller and just generally, a little bit bigger than the Thrash and Devour version. And then for another comparison, here are some more of the Hammond Collection line, as we have the Baryonyx, the Parasaurolophus, and the newly released Gallimimus next to our Hammond Collection T-Rex, and you can definitely get a pretty good idea of the fact that this Rex is easily the largest Hammond Collection figure that we've had so far, and I'm certain will be the largest Hammond Collection figure for quite some time until we get like a, Spinosaurus or something maybe. If we ever do, it would be amazing, but I don't know that we will. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. But you can definitely, again, see that this still sports a really impressive size and clearly outsizes everything Hammond Collection-wise that has come before it. And then I still cannot find my Hammond Collection Velociraptor, but there is the Velociraptor in the package. You can see basically how it sizes up next to our Rex, but it's pretty similar in size to like a mainline Velociraptor, I would say, when it comes to the Hammond Collection version. So there is the Extreme Damage version of the Velociraptor next to our Rex, again showing off the fact that I would say it sizes pretty nicely, would definitely be, a good figure for a diorama with this Rex. The Hammond Collection Raptor, or even just some of the mainline Raptors from the Mattel line. So this Hammond Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex is definitely the nicest Hammond Collection figure that we've ever had. It's also the nicest Tyrannosaurus that we've ever had from Mattel so far, and in fact, I would actually dare say this could be the nicest Rex that we've had in the Jurassic line, period. Like, there is a good chance that overall this would be the best Rex, and I know many people are going to probably instantly think, well, yeah, but what about the Kenner Red Rex? That is probably the most nostalgic figure. That might be everybody's favorite. I know it's definitely my favorite Jurassic Rex of all time, but when it comes to actual screen accuracy, like, this is probably the best version we've had because it's definitely got the best paint out of any Rex that we've ever had in the Mattel or Jurassic line, period. And as far as screen accuracy, for the most part, I would say Mattel really quite nailed it on their Rex here. Again, some small, tiny things like the fact that the underside doesn't perfectly match and stuff like that. There's like very minor things about the Mattel sculpt that aren't perfect, but for the most part, again, as far as like you've got articulation, incredible paint, beautiful sculpts, like this very well could be the best Rex that we've ever had in the Jurassic line. I'm not going to say that it definitely is, but there's a chance that it could be. Again, this is incredibly well done from a sculpting standpoint. The detailing throughout is amazing, and on top of being amazing, it is very vibrant on the sculpt. And on top of that, the paint job has really brought that sculpt to life because they did something that I've been wanting them to do since I had reviewed the Baryonyx, and that is apply kind of like a dark wash to the figure. I feel like we could have had the dark wash on the underside as well. That probably would have improved the figure a little bit, but it still looks really good as far as what we have here, and just the inclusion of the dark wash, I feel like just really amped up the realism of this figure, because if you took the dark wash away, I feel like it wouldn't look near as realistic or lifelike as it, does currently. And throughout the entire figure, Mattel absolutely spared no expense when it comes to their paint application, because there are many different tones of color through the entire Rex, so many different variations of browns, lighter and darker, as well as blacks and everything throughout, like just tons and tons of color, which is amazing to see, especially seeing painted nails on both the hands and the feet, even including the dew claws, as well as that striping and coloration that runs the entire length of the body from the tail to the head. Like, that is just amazing to look at. Like visually, I had just taken a step back a few moments ago and just kind of took the Rex in from a distance, and man, is this thing ever just a treat for the eyes. The inside of the mouth as well sports some beautiful sculpt, beautiful paint job. You have incredible articulation throughout. The articulation is really smooth for the most part and works about as perfectly as you would expect it to. The larger feet are, of course, a little bit of a downside, but it's not that big of a deal because, again, you want your Rex to stand, you want it to balance, and you can always customize it with, smaller feet. I'm sure it'll be just a matter of time before someone creates smaller feet like Marco makes, or Rod's Random Work or something like that. Will create the smaller feet that would probably fit the Rex a little bit better, but again, the larger feet do help with stability, so that is always a good thing as well. And the only other area that I would say would be potentially a downside for this is the eyes. I'm not a huge fan of the glass eye look on this one. I normally am. I usually love it, but something about the glass eyes that they used on this, they don't look perfect. They look weird, and at certain, points you don't really see the pupil anymore. So that's a little bit of a downside. I think takes away from the figure in the face area just a little bit, but these are all minor gripes because as a whole, this thing is almost, I would say, a masterpiece. This is just an incredible Rex from Mattel, and in my opinion, the best Mattel figure that we've ever had. Like, this is the top of the line, and I really see Mattel having a very hard time ever dethroning this as the best Mattel figure yet. So, if you are interested in this, your best bet is to check Target in-store because the website, I believe, at this point still has it up for pre-order. It's not actually, in stock online. It will be probably soon, I would imagine, but as of right now, it's not. Again, check in-store or just wait until Target starts to actually stock it on their website. I believe I had seen it recently up on Amazon as well to order. I will try to find links to everywhere that I can for you in the description to potentially pick this up, or again, check in-store at Target. Definitely worth the price of admission for this figure and so much more. This is an amazing, amazing release on the part of Mattel. So make sure you pick this up and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.